I think anybody that told you that, this was going to be as wave of an election as it was, maybe saw something that nobody else saw or was kind of just going on gut feelings. But, all the numbers and everything kind of pointed to, most people thought Hillary was going to win. It was a question by how much. We thought that we were going to lose some seats in the House. We just, we didn't think it was going to be that bad. But, to lose 6 net seats is really, almost considered a huge victory. And especially because we're still sitting on the largest majority in almost 100 years.
Right.
To hold the Senate, not just by, a thread, but by a couple threads. And frankly, 2 more governorships in the country. We won more state House and state Senate seats in Illinois, giving Bruce Rauner some more backing that he needs. It was a really good night for Republicanism.
And looking at some of the numbers, the Republican Party, to the surprise of many as they watch all of this stuff unfold, are, as you mentioned, in nearly 100 years, has not had this sort of strength in numbers since the 1920s.
Yeah. And this is where I think, now this is where the next steps are going to make a difference.
Yes.
So, a couple things. Obviously, there were people that voted for Donald Trump that will not still consider themselves Republicans. So we have to figure out how to begin to bring them into the party, into the fold long term. The other thing is we have to realize that, we had a big white vote turnout. There was a depressed minority vote turnout. We have to continue to make inroads in minority groups. And I think Donald Trump has that opportunity as he puts kind of a revolutionary agenda forward as he does that. The other thing, too, though, if you notice, anytime a party takes complete control, it happened with us in 2004, it happened with President Obama in 2008. If you have a party that takes complete control and they just start ramming only their agenda items through and do not attempt to reach out to the other side of the aisle on some of this, they always lose epically 2 years later. That happened to us in 2006. It happened to Obama in 2010. So I think we need to be, press forward with the important agenda items. Let's repeal Obamacare. Let's replace it. Let's begin to make some big changes. But on some of these things, like an infrastructure bill or whatever, let's begin to reach out to Democrats, get their ideas, and let them know that even they, in a Republican government, have a place at the table.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and to find that fine line between watering down your own victory by giving up way too much in an effort to appear bipartisan, because I don't see that happening too often on the other side.
Right.
And then finding that right amount of accord to say, hey, listen, we're reaching out, we're trying to get something going bipartisan here. There no accusation can be made that you're being frozen out of the process.
Right, and I think, look, there's no compromise on the issue of we got to throw out the health care law and replace it. Now, maybe Democrats can get involved in coming up with some ideas of what's in the new health care law, something like that. But we're not going to say that we're keeping Obamacare in place. I think it's been obvious election cycle after election cycle, the American people are rejecting it. Things like we need to lift sequester on our military, but we can't just lift it. We have to figure out how to have long-term spending reform in this country and growth. And I think we have a real opportunity, as somebody that's been critical of Donald Trump, I'm not going to hide from that fact.
Nope.
I'm excited now about the opportunity to say, look, if he is really somebody that's going to bring people together, he's going to make deals, he's going to kind of think outside the box. I will always be critical when I disagree with him on things in foreign policy, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with him on some big domestic issues.
And that's the thing, because I was going to ask you if Trump called you tomorrow and said, Congressman Kinzinger, I'd like you to put together my list of priorities for the first 100 days. I'm taking it based upon your earlier bit of dialogue there that Obamacare would take place number one. Yeah,
I think Obamacare would be first and foremost. I think next, and this is where I think you can get some Democratic buy-in, let's do tax reform. I think that's going to be very important. But you can pair that with an infrastructure bill. If you look at rural cities across our district, across America, there is majorly crumbling infrastructure. I'm not just talking about roads and bridges. I'm talking about sewer lines. I'm talking about water reclamation areas. Like, small-town America has been hurting. And I have mayors come to me all the time and say, look, my sewer system, my water system was built in 1940. It's about to just completely collapse, and we don't have the money to fix it. So I think, that infrastructure buy-in, as well as, hey, how are we going to pay for it? Well, the money that we repatriate from overseas at a lower rate, we bring that money back in, allow it to be reinvested in America. I think you can have both parties buy in, and that would be a majorly successful thing. So if he called me, I would love to, to give him some ideas. And I think the other thing I need to see is, I think it would send a very strong message to the world if one of his first overseas trips is to Europe and he reassures NATO that he's standing with him.
Yeah, because there had been some questions, there had been some rhetoric about, and not that the rhetoric should be totally discounted. The other nations should pay their fair share, and there's a lot of times that, we're left holding the bag, but we're expected to stand guard at the gate. Some of those things should change.
Yep.
But a breakdown of the entire alliance, I really don't think is in his big picture.
Yeah, I don't either. And, again, and this isn't critical of him in saying this, but, during an election, there's rhetoric, that is, it kind of builds your support. It kind of shows who you are. And then the second, the weight of the presidency. I mean, I've had a little taste of it in that, I ran for Congress in 2010 and I won, and the next day I woke up and realized, holy cow, I'm a U.S. Congressman. And it's a different feeling. The presidency, I couldn't even understand. So, you go out, you campaign, you're passionate, everything else, and then all of a sudden you wake up, on Wednesday and say, I'm going to be the most powerful man in the world with literally billions of people looking to me for leadership. I think there's something very sobering about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he'll rise to the occasion.
You got to be gratified on the because one thing I kept seeing over and over again, and I had a couple of friends comment on for me as well that said, they were Trump voters, but the way that the one thing that was driving their vote more than really anything else was the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Yes, this is, look, we are going to save the Supreme Court for decades here. And now I don't think we're going to see as much retirements as we thought now that Trump has won. I think, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to hold on until she can't. I think she would have resigned early. You have the left has a little more aging people, but you could get a surprise. You could be like you could see one of the guys that's been there, that's not too old on our side, that decides to retire and kind of reset his position. So, it's the Supreme Court thing is going to be really, really big.
So, okay, Obamacare, we're talking infrastructure, Supreme Court is up there, and maybe shoring up our credibility in the foreign policy realm would be a good start, too.
I think so. I think lifting sequester on our military to let us to invest what we need, not say, hey, our mission has got to fit in this certain budget, but our budget needs to fit in what our mission is around the world, and so what's that price tag? Let's spend what we need to. I think pushing back against Chinese encroachment on the South China Sea, I think taking a leadership role. I'm concerned, honestly, about what he said about Syria. I think, that's been very destabilized by Assad and Russia. But, I think an opportunity to come to an end, to get a finish to the conclusion of what's going on in Syria, a real effort against ISIS. We are making some gains against them, but it's taken quite a bit of time. And this guy may have a reputation, and the first 100 days are going to show it, that if you're a country thinking about messing around with the United States, you ought to think twice about it.
Which, I kind of like that feeling.
Yeah.
It seems like that feeling has been missing for a while, and I would like to see that feeling restored again.
Yeah, and, I can't think of a single foreign policy success that we've had. Frankly, since the killing of Osama bin Laden, it's been hard for me to think of one success, because I don't think there is any. So it'll be nice to start, as Trump says, start winning again.
Hey, we've been mentioning Veterans Day all along, and congratulations and the heartiest best wishes to all of our veterans. You're taking part in a really cool event today.
Yeah, I'm going to the Rockford Memorial Downtown Center, giving a nice 15-minute speech, I think is what it's going to be. And, and then I'm going to community college to do the same. And so for me, it's a really good opportunity to talk about, in essence, not for me, but the reason I got into public service is to honor these people, to be honest. And so to be able to go out and do this and to talk about, veteran service, sacrifice, the people that I worked with, people that I still work with, is just a deep honor. What a great day. And, thank you to every veteran listening. Thank you for all your service and being willing to do what you do.
Absolutely, and we thank you for your service, too. We're not leaving you out of that either. Congressman, as always, we appreciate you taking time out, but it's been too long since you've been in here to pour back some coffee with me. So, next time
I need to do that. Get the stuff, get like the coffee that you got to cut with the knife. I'm in.
We've got new really sharp steak knives to cut it. I think you'll really appreciate it. It adds a whole new level to it.
Well, I'll bring some you got to cut with a blowtorch.
Congressman Kinzinger, thanks so much for your time. Have a great weekend.
Anytime. Take care.
There we go. There's Congressman Adam Kinzinger.